AJ Kierstead, New England Take at New England College. We're going to be covering the Dean Phillips event over here. They got a forum going on. Some students are already speaking to him upstairs. He's going to come down to say a few words and take questions from the audience. Foreign policy, abortion, election just happened yesterday, so I'm sure there's a lot of subjects on the minds of everyone here. And my wife was giving me grief before I came here, saying I'm a troublemaker. It's the reason why I wanted to cover this. Yeah, I am. Yeah, definitely. I think the Democrats and the Republicans are a total disaster right now, and I want to hear what some other people that were brave enough to jump into the fray want to say, especially a Democrat with an incumbent president.
I'm so happy to be with all of you. This has been the most extraordinary 10 days of my life, and I think spending some time with you will only make this 11th day even more so, because this is the state where it happens. You know, this is where presidential candidates walk through the snow and appear in front of you, and most importantly, we answer your questions. I think we have our principles backwards. I serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee. I'm the ranking member of the Middle East, North Africa, Central Asia Subcommittee. I've been to Jerusalem twice to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu this year. I was just in Riyadh, I've been to Turkey. And I realized, my goodness, we are very deficient in our diplomatic toolkit. Segregation of members of Congress began on day one. And you all wonder, why are we dysfunctional? You all wonder, why can't we get anything done? You all wonder, why do my colleagues get on TV at night and yell and scream and demean and diminish and divide one another? Because there's no intention in the most important positions of power in the United States of America to do what I think you all know we need to do. This is America. That is the beauty of this country, is that we are different. We're the only nation that thrives on the fact that we are not all the same. And it deeply troubled me that we have an institution that is supposed to be representing America that is doing nothing but diminishing, demeaning, and depowering the very people that it's supposed to be representing. The president's not passing the torch. Nobody's running. And I started seeing the polls that demonstrate that President Biden is almost surely going to lose to Donald Trump in the next election. But I thought to myself, this is the United States of America, so anybody who's 35 years old and born in the United States can bring a $1,000 check to Concord, to the State House, and file to run for the presidency. In fact, I'm just one of 21 that did that. 21 people have filed to run for president as Democrats here in New Hampshire. But none of the names that you know, even the president, decided not to be on the ballot here. I'm not even going to get into that, but that's why I'm running for president, because we need an alternative. We need to pass the torch to a new generation. The same old is not going to work in the future. That's what Democrats are doing right now. It's going to work out. Thoughts and prayers. Well, I don't know about you. I've never seen thoughts and prayers give people housing or shelter or food or education or opportunity, and sure as heck has never helped win an election.
Representative Dean Phillips is not the orange middle finger we get from Trump, but more of a strident thumbs down, I guess is the way to put it. He called out Biden repeatedly. He said, quote, I have no malice for Trump supporters. I have malice for Donald Trump, which is not terribly surprising. But he blatantly is calling out the Democratic Party for a lot of their just political nonsense that has just enveloped everything they do instead of being able to focus on the issues that actually matter to anyone. It was really interesting to see someone like this, who's on the younger end of people in Congress, which is problem in and of itself probably, but either way, speaking out against the party, but having love for America, like he came across like I've heard many veterans that are running for office approach the issue in a very similar way. He dropped a lot of the typical Democrat nonsense when it came to book banning and healthcare and the way that they would approach it, but he's not toxic. I mean, when I'm listening to him talk, I'm having flashbacks to before 2008. My first time I covered a primary was the 2008 election leading up to Obama, where you had McCain and all these other players in there, where it's like, oh, they're not like calling each other horrible racist idiots that should not be allowed to have a platform or anything like that. We're not hearing all sorts of the woke nonsense brought up. One thing that I would say, I wish he would get more in the weeds when it comes to foreign policy and what he would do to approach issues. He's a lot more bringing people to the table, but he didn't necessarily come across as wishy-washy. He seemed like he had an approach he wanted to take to things. Another epiphany I had during this is he's not online. He doesn't come across that way. He's not pulling up all sorts of the hashtags that people tend to bring up when various political matters are brought to the forefront. He was not focused on, there were no Jeffrey Epstein jokes or anything like that. There wasn't any Richmond, north of Richmond lines thrown in like we saw during the first Republican debate. Like, it was very much focused on he's not happy with the system and there's a reason why he's running. He's upset that Cornel West isn't running as a Democrat. He's really hoping that No Labels actually just doesn't go through with what they do. He wants to make sure that he can fix the Democratic Party. He already called the toxicity of the two parties as the root cause of the issue, and that we need to reform them or just get rid of them entirely. I don't really feel like he fleshed it out very well what exactly that means and what that means for the future of politics in this country. But he, on the other hand, he also said we should not pack the Supreme Court and we should not get rid of the way we elect the president. Things should continue business as usual of that, because we're not at a point where we should be trying to fix those things, because generally speaking they've worked. It's just we're having a problem where we're so polarized with the two parties, where the same couple states are selecting who's going to be president. And that's not healthy for anyone. And there are a lot of consequences to that, like we see right now, where it's Biden versus Trump. And I feel like Representative Phillips wants to do something about it. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, unfortunately. I think we're going to be stuck with another toxic either 4 to 8 years here, depending on whatever the situation is with Trump and Biden, because guess what? Trump's not going to go away. If he loses, he's going to run again in 4 years, as long as he can physically do it and he's still around. So he's a man of a certain age, let's not forget that. But this is the advantage of the first in the nation primaries. We see these guys that this is not the last time he's going to run for president. Phillips will be back in the next cycle. There's no way around it. He has a good message. He filled the room with New England college students and a few members of the community. I mean, they had to bring out 2 more rows of chairs because they filled up the initial grouping of people that were there. This is the political process we have. I think we should salvage it. I don't think we should throw it away. And in a way, I agree with Representative Phillips on this, and I'm going to continue to watch him to see what happens, because I mean, just like with Sununu, we don't know what these guys that are on the younger end are going to be doing, because guess what? A lot of these people over in Congress are 70 and up. They're going to be starting to have health issues, like we saw with Dianne Feinstein, who recently passed away. Things are going to be changing just because of the age gap that we see, and these are the guys that are going to be next up in leadership. So follow them, pay attention, get involved. It's New England Take, newenglandtake.com. Like and subscribe, and talk to you soon.